Hello and welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Volodymyr Solokhub. On March 9th and 10th, the President of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, made an official visit to Turkey. To discuss the outcome of the trip and its meaning, joining me now is former Ukrainian diplomat and director of Multilateral Relations Department for Maidan of Foreign Affairs NGO, Mr. Oleksandr Khara. Mr. Khara, welcome back to Viewpoint.
Hello.
Mr. Khara, the trip to Turkey of Ukrainian President, what does that mean for both countries?
Well, it's quite important and mutually beneficial, I would say, visit. Unfortunately, I wouldn't say that it's fruitful as we wish it to be. First and foremost, on the Ukrainian part, the two sides signed a joint statement with a lot of spheres of cooperation that could be filled with real content, with real projects. But I would like to begin with something that really divides us with Turkey. It's an issue of democracy and the values. There are some developments in Turkey that are worrying Europeans and Americans and Ukrainians as well in terms of the deinstallation of the Atatürk's system of power, where the secular state is and where the military plays a crucial role. This is worrying some, but it shows that we cannot build the relations with Turkey on the basis of values, but otherwise we can build them on the basis of the pragmatic interests.
But can Ukraine build relations with Turkey on the principle the enemy of my friend is my enemy? Basically, Ukraine is facing the Russian aggression. Turkey is facing military actions in the Middle East, which at some point threaten their sovereignty. The case when the Turkey shot down the Russian fighter jet. So, do you think in the area of foreign relations, in the area of security, Turkey could be a stronger partner for Ukraine?
Yeah, I believe so. We got more in common in terms of the national interests with Turkey rather than Turkey with Russia. Russia is pretty active in this region, and Turkey is depending on the Russian gas supply up to 60%. And Turks were willing to convert their country into the hub, energy hub from the Caspian energy sources countries into the European ones. Unfortunately for the Russians, the deteriorating situation in the region, and especially with the downing of the jet and with the brutal activities in Syria, these projects are over, at least for now. So Ukraine could be helpful for the Turks to diversify their supplies of energy. We can build storage facilities for their gas. At this point, they got the facilities up to 5% of the annual consumption, so they need more. It's one thing. Second thing, we can help them with the training of the specialists in the energy sphere, and particularly the nuclear energy sphere.
Mr. Khara, do you think Ukraine can learn some of the boldness from Turkey in this example of shooting down the fighter jet when it entered Turkey's airspace? Because Ukraine, in the beginning, at points, seems like the Ukrainian authorities are not ready to take these drastic measures, which are at some points necessary.
Well, I absolutely agree with you. We can learn from the Turks, but it's interesting how two authoritarian rulers, I mean Putin and Erdogan, met at the same playing ground, and they are playing the same games. But what's important for us is have a look how Turks were trying to smooth the situation, how to try to chill down this conflict, because they are relating on the Russian gas supply. They understand that Russians are building a military stronghold in Crimea, and by doing this, they are changing the balance of power in the Black Sea, and certainly it will be worrying for Turks. Turkey is the major power in the region, but the majority of their military installation are aimed at the Mediterranean and the Middle East. Thus, they need to relocate some facilities, some attention, some resources into the Black Sea, just to control the situation and not to allow Russians to control the Black Sea as a whole. it's important thing to learn from the Turks. They are not.
We're talking about the Black Sea region. This is a very interesting topic you touch upon. If we discuss the broader security issue of the Black Sea region, now with Ukraine's and Russia's standoff, Turkey's and Russia's standoff, how does that change the balance of powers in the Black Sea area?
Russians are using Black Sea as a test ground for their, readventure into the global status, as they think it's possible for them to do. They're trying to redraw the borders of their influence in the region. And putting nuclear missiles in Crimea, they're changing it completely because they are threatening NATO and EU member countries of the Black Sea and beyond the region. For example, the missiles that they shot from the Caspian Sea, it was a sign of the willingness and ability of Putin to project his power beyond the region, because it's the missiles, the nuclear missiles that they have, there is no cure against it. Even the American missile defense program.
But what about the Black Sea Fleet, the Russian Black Sea Fleet? Turkey controls the Bosphorus Strait. So now with this standoff, the Black Sea turns into an inner lake of
the Russians are going to do this, and in their Navy military doctrine, they got this approach of the access denied towards the NATO and non-Black Sea countries' fleet. Thus, they are just blocking this Black Sea from the outer forces, first and foremost from the United States Navy. But in reality, the Americans could reach Crimea in any part of the Russian shore from the Mediterranean Sea. There is no need to advance there. It's one thing. Second thing, according to the Montreal Convention, it's impossible to allocate the air carriers in the Black Sea because of the tonnage, because of the limits designed in this agreement of the 1936. So Russians are trying to create the Black Sea as a domestic or hospital sea. It's one thing. Denying the willingness of those countries in the region to go closer to the European Union and the NATO. I mean, first and foremost, Ukraine and Georgia. And controlling the route supply. For example, Ukraine is up to 80% of our export goes through the marine cargo. So if Russia wants, they can blockade the major route of goods.
Mr. Khara, if we can go back to this visit of Ukrainian President to Turkey, one of the issues which was brought up was the Crimean Tatars issue. There was a statement from Turkey that they will help the Crimean Tatars, they will help to deoccupy the Crimean Peninsula. Does that statement have any real background? Does it have real support behind it?
Turkey is not recognizing the occupation of Crimea. Certainly they are voicing their concerns with regard to the human rights situation or violation of human rights in Crimea by Russians. Certainly they are supporting the Crimean Tatar community, which has moved from occupied Crimea to Kiev, for example. And it was one of the reasons why our president brought two leaders of the Majlis of Crimean Tatar community with him. Our president was trying to use this opportunity to engage Turkey more on our political side and more on the, I would say, some steps that he already done to deoccupy Crimea. But in reality, there is little things that Turks can do with regard to the deoccupation of Crimea. It's up to the Ukrainian state to create such an environment in future that the Russians will be paying such a price that will be so dear for them to keep it, and rather they will be willing to agree with us on the returning this peninsula back to Ukraine.
Well, let's see how things develop in this regard, and we'll be following definitely closely the situation there. Mr. Khara, many thanks for joining us today. We were discussing the closer cooperation between Ukraine and Turkey in light of Russian aggression in Ukraine and its military activities in the Middle East with former Ukrainian diplomat and director of Multilateral Relations Department for Maidan of Foreign Affairs NGO, Mr. Oleksandr Khara. I'm Vladimir Sologub. Thank you for watching Viewpoint.